Welcome back to the Jake Asman Show. Time now for some quick hits.
We gotta move quickly.
There's no time.
Move fast there, come on! And here we go on a Tuesday installment of America's favorite sports talk radio segment. It is time for quick hits right here on the Jake Asman Show. Quick hits this morning is brought to you by Freol Deep Penetrating Oil. Industrial strength Freol spreads deep into rusted or frozen parts, freeing them with ease. The 3-part formula delivers 3 times more lubricant. It takes less spray, less torque, and less time than any other penetrating oil to get the job done. Freol is also body shop safe, which means it's safe on paint, plastic parts, and is silicone free. You can find Freol on the shelves at any AutoZone, O'Reilly, or Napa Auto Parts store, and also at select Walmart stores. We begin quick hits this morning by talking about what was highway robbery last night in Pittsburgh by the New York Islanders. They had no business being in this game. No business being tied at 2 goals apiece in Game 5 of the first round with the Penguins. But that's where we stood. 2-2 the score. 2-2 remained the score after the first overtime, and then this happened at the very beginning of the second OT.
Here a turnover chance for Bailey and alone. Shoots, he scores! Josh Bailey has won it in overtime. Islanders win it 3-2. They take a 3-2 series lead and will have a chance to close out the Penguins Wednesday night at the Coliseum in Game 6. Ilya Sorokin is mobbed. He becomes the first Islander goalie in team history to win his first 3 playoff starts. He makes 48 saves in the double overtime victory.
Chris King on WHRU radio with the call. Josh Bailey, the game-winning goal. It came on a turnover by Penguins goalie Tristan Jarry. He sent the puck into the wide-open net 51 seconds into the second OT. Islanders take Game 5. Islanders lead the series 3-2. They go back to the Nassau Coliseum, the barn, tomorrow night to try and close the Penguins out in 6. And this was, as I mentioned, just an insane game that the Islanders won. I mean, the Penguins dominated this hockey game. They outshot the Islanders 50-28. But because of Sorokin being incredible in the net, the Islanders were able to steal this one. He made 48 big saves, a lot of them really difficult. In the second period alone, the Islanders were outshot 20-4. They were lucky the game was even within a goal entering the third period. You give credit to the Islanders for finding a way to tie it up. And then in overtime, I was watching this, standing up, running around my apartment, just waiting for the Penguins to score to end the game. I didn't think the Islanders had a chance. I just thought there was no way they were going to score. And then thank you, Tristan Jarry, for turning the puck over and giving Josh Bailey a chance there to win the game. This was unbelievable. Ilya Sorokin, we waited a long time to see him play. The Islanders drafted him like in 2012 in the 3rd round. We heard about this kid for years in Russia. He's finally on the team this year, his first year in the league, 25 years old, gets thrusted into the playoffs, and he's 3-0 as the starter in this series. It's his job now going forward. And with the way he's playing and the way the Islanders play at home, they have to now close it out tomorrow night at the barn and go to the second round for the second year in a row. Really, the 3rd year in a row, actually. I mean, Islander fans, we're getting kind of used to winning in the first round. They've done it now last year, the year before. This team is good, but last night they stole one from the Pittsburgh Penguins in one of the more wild hockey games you'll ever see, one of the more lopsided games you'll ever see. And the team that was getting crushed still found a way to win because their goalie stood on his head and made big save after big save.
What was that announcer's name?
Chris King.
Get him some tea with some honey stat.
Should we get Chris King on the show if the Islanders advance?
Only if he can do your intro.
So you want him to voice
your intro,
the show intro,
where he needs tea and honey stat. I mean, my voice was hurting listening to that. I felt the strain in his voice.
Did you?
Great call, by the way.
Great call. You love the emotion. His heart is on his sleeve.
Yeah.
Islanders hockey.
He was beside him. He seemed like the kind of guy that was stripping as he was saying that in the booth.
I mean, what a win. What a win. I could tell you, the Nassau Coliseum is going to be
and
loud.
That's the
tomorrow.
best thing about it. They have the best playoff structure. I know you were talking about scheduling wise, they're doing it perfectly, but they also, when you win, it's just pure pandemonium. You don't get that in any other sport.
And the games are just always so close. All these series, it seems like every night there's a different game that's going to overtime or double overtime. The Nashville series has had 2 straight games that have gone to double OT.
Yeah.
It's just...
only soccer back in the day used to have sudden death overtime. And now they don't. Now they play a full overtime, 2 15-minute halves. But sudden death was, that was always amazing too. It's like all of a sudden, if a goal came, that was it. You're done. And I think that's the best way to do it. Football, you just can't, obviously. It's, slow. You got to get the plays out. Baseball, everyone gets another chance. And basketball, you got time. If you get the buzzer beater at the time, you got pure pandemonium. But it's nothing like hockey.
Nothing.
It just, when it happens, just sit down, stand up, run around the house naked, whatever you got to do. It's pure pandemonium.
I thought I blew up my knee last night running around.
I bet you did.
Jumping in the air when they
Why
scored.
were you just contained in your apartment? I would have been running up and down the hallways.
And they win the cup. There's a strong possibility of that happening. Here's the thing, though.
I want to hear about stories of Jake Asman running down Westheimer and go, "We're going streaking!" when they win the cup.
As much fun as it is to watch the playoffs, when your team is in it, it's not fun unless your team wins and scores goals. It is really stressful. And forget overtime. My God, the first overtime was insane. Then you get to the second overtime, and there's all that waiting around.
And you're already exhausted.
There's no commercial break in overtime other than they take a break at a stoppage 10 minutes into each overtime. So it's just continuous stress hockey.
Well, you got to slug some water. That's what that break is. It's like, here, get some fluids in you. You're going back out there.
It's unbelievable. But
I'm talking about the fans getting fluids, not the players.
The players just coughing up lungs. My goodness. This was just an unbelievable game, though. And Ilya Sorokin, he's arrived, and he's the next great goalie in the league. The next superstar, perhaps, in the NHL is the Islanders' rookie goaltender, who is now 3-0 in the series against the Pittsburgh Penguins. Other scores last night, real quick. Toronto beat Montreal, so the Maple Leafs now lead that series 2-1. Florida beat Tampa Bay. They lead the series 3-2. Winnipeg defeated Edmonton, get this, in 3 overtimes. So Edmonton tried. They were down 3-0, and they went to 3 overtimes just to lose and have their season end. That's brutal. They lose 4-3, and the Wild beat Vegas 4-2. So the Knights now lead that series 3-2. So Minnesota stayed alive last night there. In the NBA we go. This game stunk. Milwaukee and the Heat. If you missed the first quarter, you basically missed the game. Milwaukee outscored Miami 46-20 in the first quarter. Giannis finished with 31 points. And afterwards, he said, hey, everything went pretty well for us.
Felt good. I think the team did a great job, just setting the tone. We were able to get to our spots, get some easy ones. We got stops. And we kept doing it over and over again.
Over and over again. The Giannis Antetokounmpo Milwaukee Bucks story. Well, Milwaukee sure looks like a different team than the team that lost to Miami in the bubble last year, don't they? Or is it as simple as, I think the Heat are not as good as people thought they were? They benefited from the fact that they are well coached on a neutral site in the bubble. They have Mr. Basketball himself, the intensity of Jimmy Butler. I think that allowed Miami to overachieve, maybe sneak up on some teams. But I think when they're on the road here and, the circumstances are different, they're not as good as maybe some people thought they were. Like, if the bubble didn't exist, I don't believe Miami goes to the finals last year. And this is not a second guess. I said it at the time. You give credit to Miami and what they've accomplished, but I bet you wish they I bet you they regret not including Tyler Hero in any package for James Harden out, don't you think? Remember that? They didn't want to include Tyler Hero. Well, ultimately in the NBA, you win with stars. And Miami getting to the finals last year, to me, had a lot to do with the bubble and a lot less to do with just this Heat culture and whatnot. They need superstars to go with Jimmy Butler. Yeah. And I bet you James Harden would have made a pretty big difference right now.
The Heat team that was in the bubble, I guess, had all the advantage. Maybe it's because they were closer to home. Maybe they were, I don't know. We can come up with 1,000 reasons why the Heat did so well last year. Maybe that this year, the reason why the Heat aren't doing so well is because they played so long into the season. Last year they had a shorter break. I don't know. but they're just. I mean, this team is terrible. And so
good.
far, I mean, realistically, let's really think about it. Have the NBA playoffs panned out at all? Have they given us anything yet?
The Knicks-Hawks game was the best game of the playoffs so far.
Yeah. And prior to that, we can say, Lakers-Warriors. But
and that was the play-in. That
was a play-in. That's not even a playoff game.
Yeah, the first Heat-Bucks game was pretty good. It went to overtime.
Not
going to do it for you?
No. I'm just going to hold off and wait until, I guess maybe we get more towards the conference finals. Because, I mean, there's nothing, there's no real storylines with any of these teams either.
The second round will be really good.
I think, I'm hoping.
Because you're going to get the Nets and the Bucks.
You got to get rid of the riffraff, is basically what we need to do.
And game one was very good, in fairness. I mean, Jimmy Butler hit the shot at the end of regulation to send it to overtime. So we'll see. There's been a couple good games so far, but last night, both games were blowouts. We'll get to the second game in a moment. But real quick, here's Jimmy Butler. Moment of truth for the Miami Heat, right, Jimmy?
What most bothered you tonight?
The loss. I mean, everything that went into it, we did not win. We're down 0-2. But I'm excited because you really get the opportunity to find out what my teammates are made out of going into this next game. So we get an opportunity to play again and get it to 2-1.
Short and sweet. They better show up and play better than they did last night.
Is there not a better answer than that? What bothered you last night?
Losing.
The loss.
Short and sweet. He's right.
I mean, he didn't even need to elaborate after that. He could have just said that and be done with it.
Yep. He could have just dropped the mic or closed the camera on the Zoom as they do these.
Lowered the laptop.
Second game of the night. We mentioned it. Also a dud. Denver 128, Portland 109. So that series is now tied at a game apiece. And Damian Lillard came out and just dominated this first half. He had 32 points in the first half, 9 of 16 shooting. But it wasn't enough because in the second half, Portland adjusted. Denver adjusted to Portland. They put Aaron Gordon on Lillard in the second half, and that slowed Lillard down just a bit. And Denver came out firing and won the game. So now the series is tied at a game apiece. This was the MVP of the league, Nikola Jokic, on making sure that Dame going off didn't stop them from getting the win.
We never gave up. I mean, even when Dame had a really get going, we stayed together and we were just fighting through. So and we won the game.
Well, they did win the game, so at least that series is tied. Now, you go back to Portland. Portland did its job. They won a game on the road. Now you go back home and try and maintain home court. So looks like we're headed for a lengthy series here.
Yeah, I mean. Especially in the Western Conference, there's a lot of parity. These series should be competitive and a little bit longer than probably what we're going to get in the East. But again, I mean, I don't know. I said it in when we were talking about the last game, there's nothing really jumping out at me with these NBA playoffs yet.
You're just bitter because your team's down 0-1.
Maybe that's it.
Are you going to stay up late and watch your squad
Maybe
tonight?
That's it. And all the conversation has been centered around whether or not LeBron should get suspended, fined, what have you.
Which we didn't really get to yesterday. Yeah. He absolutely should have, but he's LeBron.
No, you know what?
I think so too. Happen. And also, who actually wants LeBron suspended? Like, even if you hate LeBron, I rather LeBron lose when he's playing, not because he missed the game and then.
Well, not only that, but
and then the LeBron fans could use that as an excuse why the team lost.
You got that, but also, I mean, if you suspend LeBron, it becomes it's a TV show, or you tune in for that first minute just to see him sitting on the bench, and that's it. And Adam Silver can't afford that.
Well, then it puts so much of a focus on that storyline instead of the playoffs, and I don't think the NBA wants to deal with that. So they were never going to suspend LeBron. But Jake, you can't treat people differently. Everyone's treated equal. You and I all know that's not true. In life, people do get preferential treatment. That's just how it goes. Donovan Mitchell is very, very mad. He's big mad, as the kids say, that the Utah Jazz did not let him play on Sunday in Game 1 of their first-round series against the 8-seeded Memphis Grizzlies. This was Donovan Mitchell yesterday when asked why he felt he should have been able to play in Game 1.
I should have played. That's what I mean. To be honest with you, I feel like it's no secret. We all know that. And at the end of the day, the experts said no. And I feel like we can, like I said, we can disagree on those things, but that was the frustration. It was unfair to, my team. I was like, man, I feel like I let them down in the sense, when you're not there for them in a playoff game. That probably hurts me more than anything else. It eats me. I barely slept because you think about that stuff.
Love it. Be upset.
Isn't he coming off of injury?
He is. He's coming off of
Stop complaining.
Of a sprained ankle.
Yeah, stop complaining.
He said he was healthy enough to play. Let him play.
I get that, but you know what? So was Kevin Durant. Look what happened to him. I think a lot of people are going to be gun shy about that.
Well, he wanted to go out there and play.
He did. And, kudos to him. But, hey, just take another day, and now you're going to come back stronger than you were if you had played. Now,
here's what I would like to see happen. Hold him out of game 2 as well. Really frustrate him. Get Donovan Mitchell all upset. If we're placing bets on the next disgruntled superstar that wants out of their team, Donovan Mitchell's probably got to be at the near the top of that list. No,
that's a fair bet.
And the next superstar that wants out of their team, I have a funny feeling a certain team that wears orange and blue in New York that plays basketball,
but
might be in the mix.
But honestly,
said player,
NBA stars don't do what NFL quarterbacks do.
Nice one, Ron. There you go. Bring on the Donovan Mitchell forcing a trade to the Knicks. I'm ready for it. Inject it into my veins. I'm ready to get hurt again. I'm ready. And here's the difference. This time the Knicks actually are an attractive place to play. And Donovan Mitchell grew up in Connecticut, and his dad works for the Mets. He should have been a Knick in the first place. They took Ntilikina over him. It made no sense.
Yep.
So please, Donovan Mitchell.
Right the wrong. That's what you're saying?
Let's just pull the James Harden and get yourself back to New York. I rest my case.
Who are you willing to give up?
I would trade away a lot of draft picks. All of the draft picks. It'd be tough for me to
future or past.
Well, if they want Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina, be my guest. I don't know if I want to give up
Obi Toppin,
Mr. Barrett, or Quickly.
I wouldn't give up Barrett.
I mean, Barrett is so good and he's only 20. It'd be tough to give him up. But Donovan Mitchell,
be patient.
Donovan Mitchell might be a top 10 player in the league.
No, I agree with that. But if you can find a way to keep him, keep Barrett, keep Randall, and build around that. Yeah, build around those three. That's a young big three.
It is. You might have to give up Quickly. But if your big three is Randall, Mitchell, Barrett, that's a young big three too that can still grow together and get even better. That's a nice core. We're not doing this though.
You're not going to play the game?
I want to get hurt, but I don't want to get hurt this quickly. I still have to focus on Knicks Hawks. That wraps it up for Quick Hits here on a Tuesday. Coming up next, let's talk some baseball. History will be made tonight for one of the all-time great umpires. Yes, we're talking about baseball umpiring in the next segment. Stay tuned. Jake Asman with you here at Sports Map Radio.
Imagine learning about